Last week, Adobe did a big Photoshop update, and I said I would do more in-depth tutorials. Right now, we're looking at how to remove things from Photoshop in 2026. A lot of things have changed. Let's have a look right now. So let's go to the Remove tool. Now, the first thing to note with the Remove tool is the Remove tool does not use any generative credits. It doesn't consume credits. It doesn't need credits. So no matter what plan you're on, feel free to use it as much as you like. So we have the ability here to use generative AI or not. In this case, we're going to turn it on and we're going to use generative AI. Now, if you're doing something, maybe you're entering it in an art contest or something like that, you could turn the generative AI off if you're not wanting to use it, but be aware it doesn't work as well without the generative AI. All right, so what we want to do now is we want to automatically detect some of the visual clutter in this image. So we're going to choose Find Distractions, and this will only become available when we choose that Remove tool. Now, the ones we're really going to be focusing on is General Distractions, which is a lot of this trash and different things like that, and People. Now, be aware, People and General Distractions work separately. So when you're in General Distractions, it's not going to detect people. It's not a flaw, it's that we have the ability to work on those independently. So let's go with General Distractions first. We're going to choose Find. Now, Photoshop is going to analyze this image, and it's going to try to detect everything that it sees as a possible visual distraction. And then when it's finished detecting it, it's going to create a list for us. Here we go. So this works in a two-step process. Step one is it will mark these areas for deletion. So wherever you see a highlight, it means when I click this check mark, it's going to remove everything that's highlighted. So that's a two-step process. One, detection. Number two, when we apply it, it's going to remove. Now, the wonderful thing about this is it breaks it into different categories with different colors, so we can choose which objects we want to remove. So we don't have to remove everything it detects. Now, the interesting about these color overlays, if we look at these, say we've got the visual clutter here, which would be this trash. If we click on it, we can choose a different color. So I could change the color to red, for example. That green does work fine. But notice how each one of those is a color. Now, these don't work separately like you would think, like, say, for example, like layers. If I click at the top here, it's just going to collapse that panel. These are all selected. Now, the interesting thing is if there's something I don't want to remove, I can hold down the Alt and Option key. There would be Alt on Windows, Option on Mac, and that little plus, see, that becomes a minus. And I can paint over the areas that I want to remove. It doesn't matter what color they are or what layer they're on. So if I'm looking at it and there's just obvious things that I want to keep, I could work this way. Or if there's things I do want to remove that maybe haven't been highlighted, such as this thing in the background, I can just paint over here, and now it's going to create a highlight, which means that this area is now going to be removed. Okay, so the good thing about being able to work individually, though, when we go in here, is we can detect different things that maybe we might want to keep. Maybe I want to look at things like highlights. So if I turn off the highlights, these will not be included, and it hides that overlay, which means these will not be removed. So the highlights here are working on these light fixtures. So it could remove all those lights. But in this case, I kind of like those because those are literally lights that should be there. But sometimes there could be reflections that could be distracting, and there's a lot of reasons why sometimes those might be removed. Now, one of the things you might notice, because I'm working on a lower resolution than I normally would so that the interface looks larger, is the interface is covering part of the photo. So it's difficult to see underneath. So here's a little tip. Just kind of collapse the panel on the side, and then grab the spacebar, and we can slide our image over. And now when we have the distraction removal, it's not covering our image anymore. Just a little tip. So let's start. So we're going to look at barriers. There's not much happening there in barriers. Let's look at the ground features. So the ground features looks like this drainage kind of over here. Now this is the kind of thing that you could kind of leave in if you wanted. And in this situation, we're going to turn it off, and we're just going to leave that. It's not going to go away because this is, part of New York City. We've got all of these little covers all over New York, and you'll see the steam coming out of them where they're, the subway's underneath and stuff like that. Although I don't think the subway's under that one. All right, then we've got things like poles. If we look at the poles, notice what it's affecting is this sign over here. This sign's all crooked and kind of weird. I think we're going to remove it. Now, here's a general rule of thumb when you're doing accurate removal. Anything that's permanent should not be removed. Things that are temporary, such as this trash, the bikes, the people, this thing in the background, should be removed. Now, sometimes it doesn't really matter if you're going for, say, hey, I want to feature this taxi cab. The environment doesn't matter where it is, like maybe you're at a set or something like that, or the location is not important. Then we can remove things that are permanent because we're just trying to clean it up. Like a, high-end retoucher that was featuring this vehicle might clean up all these little scratches and everything on the road. That's a creative choice, and that's entirely up to you how you want to do that. So if we look at this one, spots and dust, that is all the little scratches and blemishes on the ground. Because this is New York City, these little scratches and blemishes kind of add character, and because this taxi is in New York, we want to keep that. So the character of New York is, kind of all these little blemishes. So we could easily remove them and it gives us a very, very clean result. Or we could keep them there and keep the character. Why don't we keep those there for this particular image? Now, one of the things I do want to mention, spots and dust is a terrible name. I think it should be called blemishes because when we see spots and dust, it makes us think of sensor dust and spots on our lens. Those can be removed in Camera Raw using the spot detection in there. So blemishes is probably how I like to think of this. Okay, let's continue. Unrecognizable objects. Okay, it's just this little thing here. I don't know if it really matters, but let's get rid of it. Just clean things up. Urban elements. Urban elements is picking up things like the fire hydrant. We definitely want to get rid of that. And then we've got this sign over here with a pizza sign, and then we've got this signage over there. Now, why would you want to remove those? So if you were doing something for stock, say stock photography, you would want to remove all logos and identifying kind of names of brands and things like that, and that would work well. In this situation, I'm thinking all I want to get rid of here is the fire hydrant and not anything else. Move over there, hold down the Alt key, that would be Option on Mac, that little plus becomes a minus, and we can paint that away. And we can paint that away and say, you know what, we're going to keep them there. I'm going to remove this one, and we're going to remove that one. Great. What else do we have? Vehicles. This includes the bikes and this other car. Yes, we definitely want to get rid of those. And visual clutter, absolutely. This is where we've got all the trash and different things on the ground. I've kind of changed my mind here on this little pizza sign. I think I want to get rid of this, so I'm just going to highlight that now. And so we can just paint to add things that we want to remove that were not detected. So we have that full manual control. At this point here, I think we're ready to remove things. So why don't we just hit the check mark, and this is going to remove these distractions. Now notice that I've turned on Create New Layer and Sample All Layers. It's important that you turn those on first. And the reason those are on, so this will work non-destructively on its own layer. So we can modify and change things later. And look at that. That cleans up things quite a lot. Let's kind of move this back to the center. And we'll pop this open. And if we look, we can see there's the distraction removal layer. Look at that. All that clutter is now gone. It's looking good. Before, after. Now there's a few more things we need to remove. The people and whatever this is in the middle of the road. So why don't we go over Find Distractions. And this time we're going to choose Find and we're going to choose People. Okay, so it's highlighted the people. It's also got a reflection in the windshield. I don't want to remove that reflection in the windshield, so I'm going to hold down the Alt or the Option key and remove that. I thought that was a person. But here's a wonderful thing. When we're working in here, all it's doing is it's highlighting, and I want to get rid of this stuff. I can just paint over here, select all this stuff again, and say, hey, I want to get rid of this as well, and maybe this, whatever it is. So I'm just going to select those as well. And so even though it's not people, it can still get rid of it. And whatever this hair or something is in here, let's select that. That's kind of gross. All right. And now we're just going to apply again. Once again, notice create new layer. Sample all layers is on. And this gives us that non-destructive workflow. So one of the things you need to be aware of is this is the same as using the remove tool. All it's doing is it's auto-detecting the things that we can remove. So it looks like it's still struggling with some of this area here. So with the remove tool, we can just paint onto it directly. And now it's just going to remove it. There we go. Wonderful. And that's because remove from each stroke was turned on. If I turn that off, it won't automatically apply. It will only apply when I do the check mark. So let me turn that off and show you. So say I wanted to select something like this sign. I can actually just go all the way around it, make a ring selection here, release it, will fill it up. And then when I'm ready to remove it, I just hit the check mark. And now it will remove. And if I hold the Alt Option key and click on the eyeball, we can see before and after. See how quickly we were able to remove all these elements. Okay, I just want to make a quick announcement. As of last week with this big update, a lot of generative fill and just the AI in Photoshop has changed significantly. We've got introductions of new models, we've got all kinds of changes, and then I think in the training, it's just time to hit a reset. So I'm creating a brand new course on AI in Photoshop, which is going to cover all the generative AI, all the different models and all that kind of stuff. But it's also going to cover things like these type of removal tools and non-generative AI in Photoshop. I'm hoping to release that next week. If you're interested in that, just jump to photoshopcafe.com, join my mailing list, and I'll let you know when that's released. And if you want to see all the new features that were added in Photoshop last week, check out this video that I did right here. And so I'm curious your thoughts on the removal. Let me know in the comments underneath. And by the way, if you're new, welcome to the cafe. I do weekly tutorials. If you don't want to miss any of those, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Whether you're new or whether you've been here for a while. A lot of people have been on the channel for a while and haven't hit subscribe yet. And that'll just notify you so you don't miss out on those new tutorials. So anyway, thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.